you want job offers to start coming to you instead of chasing them, then this video is for you. Most people have LinkedIn profiles that look like this. Generic job titles, boring summaries, and zero personality. They're invisible to recruiters who are scrolling through hundreds of profiles every day. Don't believe me? It's fine, we just met. But this is Yana Sanina, a former recruiter for Google and Meta and one of our mentors at Mentor Cruise. In the next 10 minutes, Yana and I will show you how to make your LinkedIn profile so good that recruiters will reach out to you with job offers. Here's what she thinks of the majority of LinkedIn profiles.
What are the common mistakes candidates usually make on their profiles?
So when I personally open the profile and I see it being a little bit messy, not professionally formatted and taken care of, that always kind of demotivates me a little bit, just because although LinkedIn is a social network, it's still a professional one. And especially if you're job searching, you always want to keep in mind that how does your profile come across? Because it's the shopping window of your profile at the end of the day. So things, little details from having a professional profile and background picture to being mindful of what kind of activity do you have on the profile, because again, it's visible to others. All of these little details is something that I notice that candidates miss.
LinkedIn profiles that get job offers have one thing in common. They position you as someone recruiters can't ignore. Let's start with your headline. Think of it like a movie poster. It's got to look interesting to make recruiters want to check out the full feature. However, most candidates aren't seeing their profile through the eyes of a recruiter. According to Yana, recruiters are scanning for 2 to 3 signals that show a candidate is a good fit for the job.
Eventually, what I'm looking for is the right signal on the job title, the right signal on the industry profile. If we're talking about tech specifically, we would go deeper into whether it's e-commerce or maybe fintech. So which sector they profile is specialized in, and specifically their specialization within that sector. Let's say if they're a product manager, maybe if they worked on monetization solutions, or if they are a software engineer, perhaps they worked on the features that would be relevant to me. So I would say these 3 things, which are job titles, industry, and specialization within their profile, is what recruiters would love to see.
Let's take a look at some LinkedIn profiles as examples. As you can see, keywords are important. But if you want to improve the chances of a recruiter getting in touch, you need to include context. Here's a story from Yana about the benefits of this approach.
Recently, we worked with a candidate that was working as a program manager in the tech space, but very specific profile, specialized on sustainability initiatives. So we inserted the most commonly used job titles on their target roles, which was program and project manager. And we've used keywords that I typically use in the sustainability sector, which is sustainability, climate change, global warming, and other keywords that were relevant. And we've done that work based on the analysis of the job descriptions that this person was targeting. So what I like to say is that LinkedIn writing, as well as the CV writing, actually always starts with the analysis of your target roles.
Makes sense. And did they manage to land a job yet?
Yes, they did. So it was a successful headline.
Awesome. We always love a success story.
If you want personalized help optimizing your LinkedIn profile for your specific situation, you can browse our LinkedIn and career coaches at mentorcruise.com. Next up is your About section. Candidates that stand out are those who use their About section to show their passion for their work beyond their job.
So there are 2 things to it. Well, first of all, again, the About section is an additional space where I would search for keywords that I would need for the job. But apart from that, you really want to understand this person a bit better. With software engineering profiles, what always stands out is someone that participates in hackathons, that contributes to open code sources. With product managers, those would be the people with entrepreneurial mindset that perhaps tried or are in parallel working on an initiative of their own. So anything that can basically tell you that this person is not just doing their job, they're really living it, and this is their passion. And this is something that always stands out from any candidate profile.
I get it. For many people, myself included, it can feel hard to show this value without feeling like you're bragging. But don't let that stop you making the most of this section. As Yana mentions, if you don't promote yourself, nobody else will.
People, specifically recruiters, they don't have so much time to really dig for information in the profile. So unless it's explicitly stated to them, unfortunately, they would not dig unless they're working in a very niche position where they know that the amount of candidates within this sector is very niche. Don't think about it as a self-promotion, but rather think about it as making a life or a job of a recruiter or whoever is looking at your LinkedIn profile easier. So just try to think that this is something that you're doing for other people rather than self-promotion, because maybe that might make people feel a little bit more comfortable, and it's just basically explicitly stating what you would say in the interview.
If your headline and about sections are like a movie poster and trailer, then your experience section is your highlight reel. This is where you can showcase your memorable achievements and career story in an interesting way, beyond just listing your duties. Check out Jana's approach to writing job descriptions that attract recruiters.
So I do see a big difference in profile success, let's put it this way, on LinkedIn, when we switch from simply copying and pasting CV, which is usually also written not always in the best possible way, just kind of listing tasks, to really trying to engage the reader by explaining in a few words, literally one sentence, what the job is about. For example, one of the candidates that we worked with recently was about making a research on the macro level to understand what kind of products and solutions would be appealing for the type of business. It was an energy company on the long run. And this type of research enabled and allowed the company to introduce the whole new portfolio of their products. So a brief description of your role, so what your role is about in simple words, especially for someone who doesn't work in this sector, or if your job title is, let's say, is a fancy one, or if it's a company slang that might not be known to most people. So describing in one sentence what's the core of your job is about, and adding one, let's say, main impactful achievement that you are proud of, and let recruiter ask you for your CV so that you can share more there.
Smart. So it's not about listing every single thing. It's just giving enough information for the recruiter to ask for more, basically.
That's what I recommend, because on your CV, you always want to tailor it as well. So just leave the cherry on top of the cake visible, and the cake itself maybe need to rebake it a little bit, depending on what the job is about.
While you should change the recipe of your resume based on the job you're applying for, your experience section should work across lots of different cakes. I think that metaphor makes sense. So, we've talked about the theory. Let's jump into an example. The first thing recruiters notice is the general professionalism of your profile. You probably wouldn't watch a movie if the poster was full of typos or bad images, so make sure you have a professional profile picture and banner in place, and your activity feed reflects the personal brand you're trying to project. Another thing to keep in mind is that recruiters use specific tools on LinkedIn to filter for active talent.
The reality is a lot of candidates are getting, let's say, ghosted by recruiters, but recruiters are getting ghosted by candidates too. So, believe it or not, one of our main struggles is making sure that we actually reach out to candidates that will respond to us. And LinkedIn Recruiter is a great help in this, as they have a filter called Candidate Spotlights, which basically allows recruiters to filter out candidates that are more likely to respond. And that is filtered based on the whether the candidate ticked open to work, whether they follow the company where you're working, whether they have first degree connections with the company's employees, whether they've updated their profile recently, or maybe they have a tenure that tells the recruiter that they might be ready for a change, whether they're working for a company that's undergoing layoffs. So there are a number of reasons that makes LinkedIn pull out the profile of a candidate as active talent. And I think this behind the scene feature is something that every candidate should keep in mind, because it's not only the content of the LinkedIn profile, but it's also how the candidate interacts with the platform, and that could increase their chances to be contacted.
A lot of these are based on how you engage with the platform. For example, do you follow and engage with the company page of the company you're applying to? Do you have any first degree connections with current employees? And are you responsive to outreach through the platform? So, in addition to the other tips in this video, if you want to ensure your profile even makes it into a recruiter search, then you should follow the company page and like and comment on their content, connect with employees at the company if you can, and then respond to recruiters when they get in touch. Even if the position isn't a good fit, you can politely decline. Okay, let's take a look at a real life LinkedIn profile and see if we can apply some of our learnings to make it stand out more. Okay, immediately, I think the profile pic is good. It's professional and the style is in line with the field he's in, which is graphic design and video. On the other hand, there's just this generic banner in the background. So it's not terrible, but for someone in graphic design, this is a really good opportunity to showcase his work or style. So just like a movie poster, I would use the space to advertise his portfolio and hook people in. Okay, looking at his headline. So we've got keywords around job titles. So we've got motion designer, video editor, and graphic designer. These are pretty clear and searchable terms, so great start. At the same time, these are pretty broad and they lack additional context. So, does he work agency side, brand side? Is he freelance? We just don't know. Plus, there's no mention of which industries he works within. So this makes it harder for a recruiter or hiring manager to understand if he's a good fit for their search. We also don't know where his specialism lies within these roles. So, he could be an expert at brand videos or corporate explainer videos or even movie trailers. But without this, from a recruitment point of view, it's pretty hard to place him. So if I was to update his headline to include those elements but keep it punchy, it might look something like video editor and motion designer telling brand stories for SaaS companies. Or if he was in publishing, graphic and motion designer, visual storytelling for authors and publishers. Next to the about section. So on the plus side, this looks pretty good at establishing his professional identity. It mentions his background and experience, some credibility, and gives some hints to his creative influences. So that's good. What I think he can improve is just giving a bit more color around his passion for his craft outside of his paid projects. For example, has he done any personal film projects? Has he entered into any film festivals? Has he, had interesting collaborations with others? At the same time, it's also quite general with his achievements. So there's no mention of specific outcomes or the impact of his work in the about section. So it's kind of hard to see in concrete terms what he might bring to a role beyond just the duties he's performed. My final point is, while this about section is pretty polished, so I'll give him credit for that, there's no hook at the end to leave people wanting more. So there's an opportunity here to spark a bit more curiosity and get people hooked in. Example, he mentions a willingness to take creative risks, but what are these risks? We don't know. So if I was tweaking this about section, I would add in some more examples of his passion for filmmaking, graphic design, be more specific with his achievements. So for example, how many views has his videos received? What has the impact of his work been on product sales, for example? I would also add in a call to action at the end, and that could be something as simple as, I'm always looking to collaborate with like-minded people, let's connect. I think the final point I have here is probably amping up the human aspect of the about section. So the whole thing is written in third person, but if he shifted to talking in the first person, that might create more of a personal connection with recruiters and just be that little extra thing that gets people hooked in. Okay, so scrolling down, his featured links are cool and they showcase his work, so that's a plus. Although his recent activity is from several months ago, so if he was applying to a specific company, I would make sure I was engaging with their content or at least had some more recent activity in a relevant topic. Okay, now let's check out his experience. The first thing I see here is that there actually isn't really much to see here. We can see from his latest position, he has been promoted from creative editor to creative lead. Congrats. But we don't have any other detail to fill in that narrative. So what does his work as creative lead entail and what impact is he having in that role? Similarly, we look at his previous role, he just has some bullet points of the duties he performed, video editing, social media advertising, etc. But again, nothing that goes beyond the generic. So in line with Jana's recommendations, I would recommend he just adds a simple description of each role, what he did, and pull out a memorable project or an impactful achievement that could highlight his value and encourage people to see more. So I think with just a few of these tweaks, he'd be in a much better position to be found by a recruiter and hopefully get some more work. Look, your LinkedIn profile isn't just an online resume, it's your professional brand. When you optimize it the right way, you stop chasing opportunities and start attracting them. If you want personalized help from an expert who can review your specific LinkedIn profile and give you tailored advice, check out mentorcruise.com. Otherwise, we'll see you in the next one.